is one thing nobody tells you about working with international clients. The time zone is actually not a problem. The communication style is the problem. So I've worked with clients in the UK, US, Canada, Australia, and Germany. And based on discovery, I can tell you for a fact that international clients do not actually need you to be online at the same time, they are online. So what they actually need is that they want to know that when they send you something, you're going to receive it, process it, and actually work on that thing in such a way that it actually makes things move forward. Like you don't get them stuck at whatever project you're working on. And that is what async communication is all about. That is async communication, and that is the skill that turns remote work into a long term remote career, into an actual career. So the biggest mistake I see a lot of Nigerian remote workers make is overcompensating for their time zone, over apologizing for your time zone. Always sending follow-up messages because they are anxious about the gap. I see a lot of them actually stay up late at night because they're working with a client in the US or in Canada whose time zone is actually working against you. But in actual reality, you do not need to do all of that if you understand the structure or how async communication actually works and how it is going to favor you. Because your time zone is not a curse, it's actually a blessing. Imagine you're working with a client whose night is your day. So it means that when they wake up, you are already done with whatever tasks or projects they had given you. So they wake up to deliverables, they wake up to seeing completed projects. All right. So, and in real time, it feels like you're actually working. And you also understand how to structure, how to communicate, so you can schedule ahead of time. So, instead of being awake to just wait for your clients, so that you can send a message and it lands the inbox, you can actually schedule that mail or whatever message so that it actually lands at the particular time your client wakes up. So that way, it looks like you actually sent it. But aside from scheduling messages and stuff, so that it goes live exactly the time your client wakes up. There are other ways you can actually use time zone to your advantage. That is what I do basically, because I work with clients that are against my time zone. But but because I've mastered the async communication style and how things actually work in the remote workspace and the mindset or what these clients actually need, I've been able to structure my work, my communication and everything to in such a way that it looks like I'm working in real time with them while I'm actually rested. And there's a way you can use time zone to your own advantage. So you do not try to over explain everything, because when you do, trust me, these clients they read minds or they read behaviors and they're very observant. So they're going to be wondering, it does this person actually knows what he or she says, they actually doing, because why are you over explaining everything when you can actually find a way around it and still deliver your project? So you do not need to be awake your client's time. All you actually need to succeed in the remote workplace, especially when you're working with clients whose time zone is against yours, is to have a structure. Yes, be reliable and be very clear. And that is exactly what the complete remote worker starter pack covers. Everything from onboarding to CV to optimizing to landing these clients, there is so much you can actually benefit. So everyone is telling you how to land clients. Of course, it is not bad, right? Because some persons, that is the level they are at in their journey. So, being a remote worker or freelancing. But there is a serious question that has not been answered yet. And that question is, what do you do when you get a yes? When a client says, okay, I want to work with you, what do you do next once you have them? So, because the yes is not at the destination, the yes is actually the beginning of something big. Because what you do in the first 90 days of a client's contract will determine whether that contract turns into a long term job, a renewal, a referral, a good testimonial, rate increase, or the client quietly grows and you return back to pitching again. I've been on both sides of this. I've had a contract that ended in a month because I did not know how to manage the relationship I had with the clients. I've also had a contract that, turned into over a year of consistent work because I learned how to manage communications. I learned how to manage clients so well. So it's not just about turning over a year, it also comes with rate increment. And that is exactly what I have packaged into the remote worker starter pack. I mean, it is a complete remote worker starter pack. It takes you from the first thing you're supposed to do, like optimizing your CV, to getting the clients, to landing it, to retaining such clients. The link is on my bio, or you can send a message with the keyword. You can send a message with the word remote worker startup, and I'll send it